Hi guys, Patrick from Santa Barbara English, Culture Video Part 3. Okay, so a few more things. I recommend learning about our politics. Um, there are some topics and some things that are people are very passionate about here that you guys probably don't even talk about in your country. For example, guns. If we're at a barbecue and you talk about guns, you'll notice my friends kind of split into two different groups here or three different groups there, and it's very strong conversation. We have some things that are really important to us that we will argue about that you guys probably never even talk about. Okay, so when you look at the politics just on a general level of the way our system works, it's interesting. But then also you can tell about what are people really, really passionate about and why, and what are some differences. Okay. I also like to recommend to learn a little bit about the business world, if that's interesting for you. Some differences between how business is done in your country versus our country. Um, Education also, the way our education system works, uh, the what's important for our universities or versus what's important in your universities. Why is it so difficult to do this here or so easy to do this here? Things like that. And lastly, I like to recommend hobbies. We have a lot of interesting hobbies here that are kind of unique. For example, I like hunting. Okay, I've never been hunting in Japan, but I like hunting here in California. Um, Snowboarding or surfing, or depending on where you live, on what region, there's a lot of interesting hobbies. And hobbies are nice too because you can meet people in the hobby, but also it gives a good view of the culture on a deeper level. For example, I took some kendo classes in Japan, and I was surprised because in Japan, like the kendo players were so passionate and so focused, and the guys in my class had done kendo for like 20 years, and they were very majime, very serious, very focused, and very dedicated. And for me, I was thinking of kendo more like a hobby, like yeah, kote men, like this will just be a fun weekend. And I was surprised just to see how much respect and commitment and dedication there was in kendo. And it was important because I felt like, oh wow, I think I can understand like the samurai mentality a little bit now. And now I can understand Sarariman a little bit. And I could just see like that dedication just from that one hobby. Okay? So if you take some Ikebana classes, you can really learn about Japan. If you take some classes here, you can learn about American culture. Okay? And it's fun. Okay, so I've mentioned a wide variety of things that are cultural that you can learn so that you can understand the culture better, so that you can understand the people better, and you can make connections. Okay, a few final key points here. I have always thought about language like an art and not like a science. And I've noticed when I've taught in different countries around the world, people often look at language like it's a science, like it's math or history, where this is the correct English and this is the incorrect English. And if you are good at English, you will do this perfectly and you won't make mistakes with or the and blah, 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 blah. No, that's not the purpose of it. Okay, that's the purpose of science. Yes, science has to be correct, but language does not have to be perfect. Language is about meeting people, sharing ideas, communicating, making friends, and having a good time. So it's a social skill. It's not a science or a math skill. I'm always surprised when people say, "Oh, my friend so and so is really good at English," and I meet them and they may speak correctly, but they're really boring because they'll be speaking English with no sense of humor, not friendly at all, asking no interesting questions, sharing nothing interesting. It's just like I'm speaking with a robot. Okay? So when you think about being good at English, please focus on being good socially with the thinking about the culture, right? So when I talk about social skills and I talk about making friends, you should look at some of the differences between your country and this country for what's important. Is it good to be religious? Is it good not to be religious? Well, are we in the Middle East or are we in California or are we in Hong Kong? Religion has a different level of importance, okay? Being friendly or being polite, okay? In Asia, it's very important to be polite. In California, in America, it's very important to be friendly. When my American friends go to Asia and they say, I'm going to take Aikido and work in a Japanese company, I tell them, be polite, okay? Don't go to your Aikido sensei and say, nai-nai-san, mo chotto fusatteru ne. Like, don't do that. Be polite. Be respectful. When you're in the business world, you get your business card. It's nice to meet you. Nai-nai to moshimasu. Politeness is your best skill, okay? When you're here, friendliness is your best skill, okay? It's better to be friendly than to be polite. As you are improving in your language and you're improving in these social skills and your cultural understanding, you'll find you're having sort of two languages and two characters, okay? One of the first lessons I ever teach students when they come here is I tell them, look, over the next few weeks and months, our goal is to make you bilingual and bicultural, meaning you have two languages that you speak and two ways that you dress and two ways that you make jokes and two ways that you talk to children and two ways that you talk to boys or girls at a bar, and like it should be different, okay? That Japanese don't usually do that. They usually learn the language and then they act Japanese in that language. And because of that, they're a little bit KY, kuki yomenai mitai, when they're here, because they don't know what's funny or friendly, and they don't make the switch to being friendly. So when I bring them to a barbecue, they're just automatically, default mode is to be polite. Nice to meet you. And they just stay polite all the time and they don't make the connection, okay? So you don't have to build a second character, but I really think it's important. Every time I know somebody who's really good at that language, if like one of my gaijin friend who's just super good and amazing, like sugoi pera, he's really pera, but he understands the culture. He understands how to be friendly or polite. He knows popular musics and jokes and comedians, and he's really good at the kanji and the language. I've never seen somebody who is really like a meccha keiwai kedo nihongo ga jouzu. I've never seen that. I've never seen somebody who is really good at English but doesn't understand American culture. I don't think it's possible, okay? So when I see people study a language and they're just doing the speaking and the listening and they're not doing this other half, I think, oh man, you can do that for 20 years and come over here and go to a barbecue, a club, a class, or a business and not make any friends. And that's terrible, right? That's your whole goal, is to learn the language and to connect to people and make friends. So you're doing all of these things to improve your social skills so you can connect to people, so that you're not KY, so that we're comfortable talking to you because you know what's taboo here, and you know what's funny here, and you know what to say to a kid, and you know when to lie to a kid, okay? If they ask you about Santa Claus, then there's a correct answer there, right? So if you know those things, we're just more comfortable with you. Also, you can explain your culture better because you understand our culture, so you understand this gap. There's a lot of things in Japan that are really unique. And when people say, I don't know how to tell my American friends about manga kisa or love hotels or omiya kekkon or wabi-sabi or ikebana, like these really Japanese things, yeah, the way that you explain those things is to understand our culture and see the difference and then explain it. For example, you can say, the houses in Japan are very small and there's no privacy. So we have love hotels because when people are dating, they need a private place. Something like that. Oh, okay. I wouldn't understand that because we have cars here, we have big houses, like just, you can explain love hotels or manga kisa or whatever. Okay? So the more you understand our culture, the easier it is to explain your culture. Okay? Another reason to learn these things is it's just a fun way to practice. It's a fun way to meet people. You have to have conversations. You have to read. You have to watch videos. So it's a good way to do that, to take a break and just watch a comedy, okay? Watch an American comedy. Pay attention to the sense of humor. Why is this funny? Because this is not funny in Japan. I don't understand why Americans are laughing. Oh, well, because they're making jokes about drugs. And you don't usually make jokes about drugs in Japan. It's very it's more serious there. We're here, people might make jokes about drugs. So it's a good way to just practice. Okay. So the good news is it's super, super important, these cultural things that I'm talking about, right? But it's pretty fun and it's pretty easy. It's not hard to watch a video about surfing or snowboarding, right? It's not hard to learn about cooking. You don't have to read 25 books about fashion, okay? When you do, you'll learn about the culture and the people, and you'll just be so much more comfortable because you'll understand this is okay and this is friendly and this is polite and this is not. And even if you make a couple mistakes with your speaking, it's fine. Like everybody likes you. You're being a friendly person. Okay? So I know, politics and history and that sounds like these big topics, but no, just have fun, find what you think is interesting, practice your English, and I promise you everything that you do when you learn about culture will help you when you're here, when you're trying to make friends, when you're in a new class and a new club. If you don't do those things and you just focus on not culture, but speaking and listening and writing and reading, you'll come here to a barbecue or a business meeting and you will think, しまった。どうすればいい？何言ったらいい? You won't know what to say or ask or do. Okay? 11 minutes. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'm going to keep making videos for the other parts of my book. Have a good day. Bye.